the voices that won't be televised will be heard on the radio.
So now it's your time to speak up.
Hello listeners, this is Speak Up at 91.9 FM. And you're listening to IFAD. With us today at the studio, we have Dr. Michael Moore. He is the professor of literacy education and also the current president of the Georgia Southern chapter of American Association of University Professors. In past years, he has also served as the moderator for the Faculty Senate. We also have Dr. Fred Minard, the associate professor in mathematics. He is the current Faculty Senate moderator. And last but not the least, we have Dr. Mark Sear. He is the associate professor in the Literature and Philosophy Department. He is serving his third term as the Faculty Senate secretary, and he has also served as a moderator for several years before. So today we are here to talk about shared governance and Faculty Senate's role in determining the functioning of the university. And in an article published in the Chronicle of Higher Education, Gary Olson began by saying, "At a recent conference of college administrators, several of us had an impromptu discussion over lunch about the meaning of shared governance. The consensus? The term is often invoked, but much misunderstood by both faculty members and many administrators." So could any of you start by giving us a description of what shared governance ought to be understood as?
Who starts?
Well, I think Mike's trying to find the...
While you are looking for how it is defined in the faculty handbook at Georgia Southern, let me give my take on it. Mm-hmm. Essentially, it's a partnership between the various constituencies at the universities and primarily faculty and administration. This is at least what it's supposed to be. And that means that there should be, we have the essentially executive branch, which is the president, the provost, and so on. And the faculty senate acts as a legislative body and proposes policy. However, in the structure we're in, the final authority for any real decision lies with the president. I don't know if you guys want to...
Well, I can tell you what is in the faculty handbook, and we've cited this a number of times over the years, but shared governance is defined as the faculty and administration of Georgia Southern affirming their belief in the process of shared governance as a principle and animating spirit of the institution. It involves faculty and administration participating mutually in the development of policies at the departmental level, college, and university levels. Faculty, therefore, have a role in developing policies, including strategic planning, academic and curricular policies, committee establishment and appointments, selection and retention of academic unit leaders, review and revision of the shared governance process, and faculty personnel issues, including hiring, firing, promotion, tenure, post-tenure, and so on. It exists in cooperation with the administration, and I think that anything then that comes up involving students, involving academics, involving curriculum, involving hiring and administrators, all this falls within the purview of faculty. And it's not just an opportunity, it's a responsibility for faculty to be involved in this process and to say how they feel about these things.
What Mike just read, one of the things that it talks about is that faculty has a role in all of these areas. What faculty doesn't have is final authority or say in any of it. The state of Georgia has pretty much a completely top-down structure. Any decision made at a lower level may be overturned by a higher level of the bureaucracy. So the issue isn't so much that the governance system can't work because of that top-down, because faculty do not have authority, it really depends upon how the bodies involved, in particular the president, because he's the one who has final say on the campus. It really involves how that president chooses to work within the structure. And, it can be good or it can be bad.
I want to go back to one of the things that you mentioned, that the president has the final say on the matter, on any matter on campus. Can you elaborate that a little bit more?
This faculty senate, for example, can only, technically, all we can do is make recommendations. Nothing can happen, the Senate can make nothing happen. That can only occur, policy recommendations, any kind of recommendation from the faculty senate cannot go into action unless the president approves it. Recently, we have been told by the university lawyer and by the lawyers at the Board of Regents that only the president can act. It's that laid it out extremely clearly. No body on this campus, so far as we know, can act. Only the president can act.
If the faculty senate cannot act, does it have any responsibility?
It has a great deal of responsibility. What it doesn't have is authority.
So tell us more about how authority and responsibility is structured in the system that we have right now.
So again, we can go back to the faculty handbook, and in the faculty handbook description of the Senate, it is described as the official faculty advisory body to the president, and of course here advisory is an important word, as Mark pointed out. All we can do is give advice. However, this description of the faculty senate also delineates the responsibilities of the Senate, and in particular, it states that the academic affairs of the university which concern the faculty senate and for which it is responsible are those specified by the Board of Regents: academic activities, general educational policy, welfare of the faculty, and all other matters of interest to the faculty as long as they exist within the policy framework of the Board of Regents. Authority, on the other hand, solely resides with the president, as we have been clearly reminded recently.
And I'd like to go a little bit back to this issue and to what Mark said, and because it is currently producing a dilemma. If in fact the president is the only one who can act, and before this became an interpretation from the attorneys, we thought as a faculty senate that we were also acting. I mean, we have motions, we have votes, and when we pass things along. So we thought we were acting. And the president, we knew, had line item veto, as it were, that whatever motions were passed by the Senate that went to the president could be vetoed because we are advisory to him. And that was understood. But then when we found out that only the president really acts, it called in my mind a question as to the relevance of the Senate then. I mean, what relevance do we have if we don't act at all? I mean, what is the point of having motions? What is the point of even passing these along? Why don't we just send the president an email now and then? And I think it's an issue that's starting to be discussed, exactly what our role is in faculty governance. And I think we're at a watershed time in Georgia Southern's history with faculty governance. I really do.
So let's talk a little bit more about the implementation of this at GSU. Now, as an advisory board to the president, the faculty senate, has the faculty senate been listened to or given enough value in making decisions and choices?
Well, of course, given enough value, it depends who you ask. So this is a judgment call, but faculty governance and how well it works, this shared governance structure, depends on how much communication and trust there is between administration and faculty. And all this depends in part on perceptions. Michael was talking about the issue about ACT and the relevance of the Senate. Of course, that a faculty body gives advice makes sense only if there is a perception that it matters. And I'm not going to say whether it does or it does not, but certainly there is increasingly a perception that it does not. And this puts the whole structure of faculty governance at risk. It doesn't really push people to get involved in faculty governance if there is a perception out there that it makes no difference with a suggestion you make to the president when you meet him somewhere on campus.